Mark your calendars, please, for Saturday, June 17th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. You want to be at the Lincoln Hancock School here in Quincy for their Touch a Truck fundraiser. And joining us to tell us a little bit more about what you can expect, how you can attend, and why it's important to the PTC is the president, first of all, Caitlin Labby. Welcome, Caitlin. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you too.
And Vice President is joining us as well, and that's Kristen Paluzzi Gibbons. Kristen, good to meet you both.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Sure. I remember, I think this was last year now, or not too long ago, this year maybe, that you had a big kind of dip in the wintertime to raise funds over at the Mount Street Beach in Quincy. But this is a bigger event, right?
Yes, this is the big one. This is the end of the year. The big bang at the end.
Yeah. So before we, talk a little bit about the event, let's talk about the PTC. And before we started recording this morning, Caitlin, I learned that it's not the PTO anymore, right?
No, it is the Parent Teacher Committee, is what Lincoln Hancock calls itself.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the organization, how long it's been around, what it does, why it's important for the school.
Sure. So the PTC has been around for many years at Lincoln Hancock. It is comprised of mostly parent volunteers who can give as much or as little time as possible. We have board members like ourselves who fill roles, president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, as you would see in many organizations. And then we also have parents who are on a volunteer committee and who are around to volunteer for all of our events. And then we also have parents who drop in and volunteer for an event here or there, whether it be a book fair or our upcoming promotion breakfast for our fourth graders before they move on to Southwest. We can take as little or as much time as you have, and there's always plenty to do at the PTC.
How did you both get involved? Curious to hear your stories about how you got involved with the committee.
I myself personally wanted to see more events and more fundraising. And I thought to myself, how do we do this? So I found who was kind of in charge. And I said, how do we go about getting like a trunk or treat? Because I noticed a lot of the other elementary schools around Quincy were doing these great trunk or treats around Halloween time. And they said, unfortunately, we don't have the volunteers. And I said, sign me up. I hooked up with Caitlin. Her and I had a lot of things in common. We really wanted to do big things. We wanted to see big things. So we said, let's get to the drawing board. Let's write down a few ideas that we have. And that following year, we both ran and we were lucky enough to get a position on the board.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, and like Kristen, I am not a Quincy native. So we moved to Quincy about 10 years ago. And when it was time for my daughter to go to kindergarten, there was a PTC event. They did popsicles in the park for incoming kindergartners, and the PTC was there, just a friendly group of faces to say hello. And, knowing that I wanted to meet other moms and I wanted to meet, other kids that were having the same experience as my daughter, I joined. And at first it was just, what I could give at the time. And then as I learned more and did more, I felt like I wanted to be on the board. And, fortunately, I have a job that makes it able for me to do that. And so we took on a little bit more responsibility.
We're completely invested and committed. We spend a lot of time together, which is nice. We've built a lot of great friendships with other board members. We are a board of 5. And like Caitlin had said, anyone that kind of can give any spare time, where we welcome everyone, and we have a great board right now and a big team of volunteers. So we couldn't be happier right now.
Also, please mention the other board members if you would.
Sure. Would you?
Yeah, absolutely. So our secretary is Christy Greaves. We also have our treasurer, Christy DiPaolo, and our social media director is Alicia Magnia. And so
Okay.
that's our core
team.
group.
So, and Caitlin, how did you get to become president?
So I had, as I said, I had just sort of, volunteered for some events. I was interested in learning a little bit more. It took me about a year to really dip my toe in and say, like, do I have the time to give? And then a lot of our board was going to be transitioning at the end of last year. And so at the beginning of last year's school year, there was some conversation about would I be interested in doing, a co-position. And so I ended up joining the board as co-treasurer to learn a little bit about, the ins and outs of the board. And then towards the end of the year, had some conversations with the rest of the board about what I might be interested in. And it just worked out that so many of our folks were transitioning that the president position became available. And I really felt like I was ready to go for it.
Okay. And Kristen, what's your story getting to be vice president?
Actually, quite the same thing. Her and I had, like she had mentioned, kind of dipped our toes in for a little bit, and we fell in love with the team right away. We fell in love with the organization, everything it stood for. And as she had mentioned, the board members were doing kind of a switch. They were kind of moving on, and it left those positions open. And I thought Caitlin would be a great leader. And I said, I would love to be by your side as vice. We ran and we were appointed. So That's exactly how it went.
Yeah. Has it been what you thought it would be? Has it been different? Has it been challenging?
Yeah, challenging. It has definitely been very rewarding, but it's also been very challenging. Last year was a year where we saw basically all of the board members transition. So for us coming in as board members, singular board members, we were all really, rebuilding it and, flying blind. And as I'm sure you're well aware, COVID really impacted a lot of things. And so a lot of the events that the PTC would have done in years past had been put on hold. And so last year, once COVID restrictions started to be lifted and there was the idea of like, hey, let's do all of these great ideas, let's do all of these great events, it was like, well, we've never really seen them done before.
So we were going in completely blindsided, but like I said, we were committed and we said, let's figure out how to do this and let's go all in. We put all of our cards in. And luckily, I can honestly say we've been extremely successful. As you know, we ran the Polar Plunge, which you had just touched on. That was our big winter fundraiser. And we had lots of big city people come. We had James Devine stop by. We had lots of families. We had people dressed in costumes. We had Quincy police there to make sure everything was safe. We had the dive team there for our first big event, like that we had no idea how to even kind of do. We were at the end, we were proud, very proud of ourselves. But there were days where we were like, what did we get ourselves into? But, we saw it through and we couldn't have been more proud. Yeah. We also, in the fall, we did a fun run, which we hired a company to come in, and the kids, they run around the gym, and per each lap, family members and businesses donated per lap that they thought the children could do. That brought in a lot of financial support for us, for sure. So we dove right in. We didn't start with little bake sales and little things. We went right in for the big things. And also we mentioned we were able to do a trunk or treat, which at Halloween time, we supplied all of the candy. We had a DJ there. The kids came in costume and went trunk to trunk. People decorated their cars. It was just a wonderful experience. That cost nothing to the community. They came, they got their candy, there was prizes, dancing, all sorts of stuff. So we're really trying to provide a lot for our community, a lot of our neighbors, just to everyone get out, kind of meet each other, just have some fun, especially where COVID had shut a lot of that down. So we really tried to play it up this year.
We should talk a little bit about what some of the funds raised are used for at Lincoln Hancock.
Sure, absolutely. So we use the funds for a variety of things, but everything goes back to the school or to fund another fundraiser to raise more funds for the school. So some of the things that we've done this year are at the beginning of the year, the computer lab, they needed all new headsets for the kids for them to take MCAS this year. So we provided them with new headsets. We provide things like funding for some of the computer programs that they use, things like BrainPop Junior, Happy Numbers, a lot of the programs that your kids come home and talk about that they do at school. The PTC provides funding for those. We keep the teachers happy during Teacher Appreciation Week. We stock their break room with the snacks and the things that they need to
drinks, things that they need to have that energy to
keep up with our kids.
keep up with the kids.
The furniture, we found out this year that the teachers lounge and that they also use for all of their meetings, they had been sitting on broken, dilapidated chairs that had been there for years. So this year we were able to replace those
They
chairs.
didn't even ask for it. It was just something we were in there stocking the fridge, like we said, and stocking the cabinets with great goodies and snacks and ice machines for them. And we took a look around and we said, oh, geez, we've got to do something about this. So we got together with the board and we said, listen, they need some better furniture to be sitting on. So we went out and we purchased them all brand new chairs for their lounge area to have their meetings.
I would also say one of the most important things, though, that we are working on, and we were able to launch it this year, are in-school field trips. In-school field trips are a little bit of a different concept than I had from when I was in school, right? You went to a field trip, but Lincoln Hancock has over 500 students. And so it can be really difficult logistically to plan a field trip for 500 kids to get out. But many programs bring the field trips into school. And it's something that they haven't really been able to do since before COVID. And so, a lot of kids are starved for those opportunities. So a lot of the fundraising that we did this year and into next year will be to help provide in-school field trips for all of the grades to experience things like animal programs with the Southwick Zoo, or Museum of Science coming in and doing really hands-on STEM stuff with the kids. We were just able to launch that program this year. Southwick was our first in-school field trip. It was super well received by the kids, and definitely gives us steam and goals and gas to look forward to for next year too.
And another really good reason why we like the in-school field trips is due to the cost of fuel now and the cost of the buses. A lot of money would have to go into supplying the buses for these 500 kids. So being able to hold off on that expense, we're able to spread the money to other things, more in-school field trips, more supplies for the teachers. The teachers also send us requests for maybe things like binders or projects they have coming up. So we're able to spread the money more now that we're not supplying the bus fees as well.
Yeah, so it sounds just a lot of extras that really aren't included in the regular budget, but are still really nice to have and add to the experience. Yeah,
absolutely. I think Quincy is like a lot of other cities and towns, right? Where they do the best they can with the money they have and the budget that they can, but there are always things that teachers need to help make their lives easier, help make the students' lives more productive, and keep them involved. And so the PTC is there to help augment those funds that the city can give and really bridge the gap for them.
You hear a lot about teachers who spend their own money on, supplies before school to stock their classrooms. So here's a great example of where your organization can help out.
Absolutely. And many of them do use their discretionary funds. So many of the conversations we have with them are, we really need this for our rooms. If we use this from our discretionary fund, can the PTC support us in this way? And sometimes it's helping them broker a partnership with someone else, right? Do you know a company that we can reach out to that might be able to sponsor us if the PTC can't support this? Or, if we can raise this with a company, can you raise this? So there's a lot of partnership that goes on with the teachers in the building. We're there frequently collaborating with them as well. It's as much for the teachers as it is for the students.
Sure. So it makes this event that's coming up all that more important. Again, it is Touch a Truck, Saturday, June 17th from 11 to 3 at the Lincoln Hancock School. What's going to be happening?
So we are going to be having lots of trucks. given it's a touch-a-truck. Who doesn't love trucks? Kids love trucks, adults love trucks. So we got together a big list and we reached out to our community businesses. And of course, as we're driving all throughout the last couple months, we'll be on the highway and we'll say, that's a great looking truck. Let's get their number. So our brain is just on trucks for the past few months. We do have a lot of companies volunteering their times to be there, because they're not just dropping off these trucks and saying, you know, have a free-for-all. They're explaining to the kids different things, letting the kids get in the trucks, really kind of hands-on. So we do have a list of some of the volunteers, if you don't mind if I list some off.
Sure.
So Brewster Ambulance, Manic Construction, Quincy Fire Department, Quincy Police Department, National Grid, Quincy DPW, Quincy Public Schools school buses, Bin Bath, Reggie's Oil, C&L Tow Truck, which they're providing us with an autism awareness truck, McGew Excavating, and the MBTA. Those are just a list of what we kind of have so far, kind of our headliners. And Caitlin, do you want to explain some of the other big things they'll be able to look forward to?
Yeah. So this year, I feel like every year it's like, what else can we do? What can we do different? What can we do bigger? So this year we will also have inflatables. We'll have bounce houses. We'll have an inflatable super slide. There'll be a DJ. We have face painters, balloon twisters, glitter tattoo artists. There'll be a dunk tank that usually some of the teachers get in. So that is always a big hit with the kids.
The kids will have the opportunity to dunk their favorite teacher, and that raises a lot of money.
We're also, the QPD is always wonderful enough to hook up the hose and let the kids try their hand at the fire hose. In Stitches Sewing will be there doing sewing demonstrations and activities for the kids. We also have Space Zero is coming. They're at the South Shore Plaza. They're coming and they're bringing one of their claw machines so the kids can try their hand at the claw machines. And we'll have food trucks, ice cream, pizza, kind of you name it. And it's going to be there.
It's going to be there.
Okay, so it's really a festival type atmosphere. It's not just a bunch of trucks.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
No. And a lot of the local businesses around Quincy have been generous enough to donate things for raffle prizes. And so we also will have plenty of raffle items for folks to choose from. And Granite Telecommunications is one of our premier sponsors, sponsoring all of our grand prize raffle items, as well as the Quincy Educators Association and MSUSI Excavating, who you may have seen doing a lot of work around Quincy lately. They are also helping us by providing sponsorships for the event as well.
Okay, very nice. And are the funds raised at this event geared to any particular thing at the school, or just kind of more your general operations?
So a lot of it goes into a general operations fund. We know that we will have fundraising requests come up for things like Brain Pop Junior, Happy Numbers, and those can add up for the whole school. And then we also know, some of the resource rooms need special furniture for, kids who maybe have sensory issues or do better with, wobble chairs for focus or things like that. So we know that we'll have lots of those requests coming up. And then we anticipate we will have a lot of requests coming in for in-school fundraisers, in-school field trips rather, because that was so popular.
There's a big hit with both teachers and students.
Yeah, I can see why. Just first of all, a convenience factor. You don't have to herd 500 kids onto school buses, get them to a destination and make sure they all stay together. But second of all, maybe they look forward to going to school that day because they're actually not going
breaks
to
up
school.
the day a little bit for the kids, and it's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And
What's the grade level at Lincoln Hancock?
K through 4.
K through 4.
Okay,
And they
so
actually act transitional K too. They also have a TK program too.
yeah, so this is a real impressionable age, for the little ones. So they have some great memories, I'm sure. I'm curious, do you know if there are any volunteers with the PTC that are former students?
That's a good question. I unfortunately did not go to Lincoln Hancock. I did go to Quincy Public Schools my whole life, but the district changed a little bit from when I was in elementary school. So I have been through all the schools. So I'm very familiar with it, but I did
So
not.
you are
attend.
then.
Yeah, I would say many of our volunteers who are Quincy natives, unlike me, definitely went through QPS. So whether, even though they may not be firmly connected to Lincoln Hancock from the start, they're devoted to Lincoln Hancock now because of the experience their kids are having.
Sure, yeah. Can we talk a little bit about logistics about this particular event? So again, it's the 17th of June from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Whereabouts at Lincoln Hancock? Where do people go? Where do they park? How do they get to the event?
Sure. You can't miss it.
What's that?
Just follow the sound of all the kids beeping all
You
the
won't be
horns.
able to miss it, right?
No,
You can't miss it.
we are thankfully very lucky to have a large parking lot on the Water Street side of the building. Granite Street is the main entrance, but on the Water Street side, we have a large parking lot that sits in between the school and Kincaid Park. So if you go down Water Street, you'll be able to pull into that parking lot, and the trucks will line up in the circular drive area where drop-off usually happens during the day. And then we'll also have inflatables set up on the side parking lot where some of the teachers park during the day. But there's ample parking between
the side streets heading down towards Kincaid.
Yeah.
Southwest has a parking lot, which is just across the street and a little walk. So there's plenty within that neighborhood.
What was that, Kristen? What was the other parking lot you mentioned?
Southwest is right
yeah.
kind of across the street and down the way, and they have a parking lot, and I'm sure they won't mind to share it with us a little bit. Lots of on-street parking as well, up and down the streets of Kincaid Park.
Okay. And is there like an admission, or how is the funds actually raised?
No, so it's free to join, free to come, free to climb all over the trucks.
Okay.
The funds are really raised through raffle tickets, our 50/50 raffle, and then the food that we sell and the inflatables and things like that, face painting, those will all be available for purchase.
Okay. All right. And do you have a goal for your event, a fundraising goal?
That's a good question. I mean, we really would like to hit 10,000 this year, maybe a little bit more.
Okay. All right.
I think it's doable.
I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you need any help beforehand from volunteers?
Always. Always.
We will never, ever turn down a volunteer.
Okay.
Absolutely. There is a sign up link on the flyer that you have that anybody can go to that link. It's a Sign Up Genius, and there are plenty of opportunities for volunteering divided by task. So whether you want to help run the cotton candy machine, or you want to help run the dunk tank or get into the dunk tank, and whether you could do that for an hour or the whole day, there's an opportunity for you to sign up for multiple items. And then we will never turn away volunteers the day of. So if you are interested in coming down and volunteering, all you need to do is look for a volunteer wearing a neon shirt.
Neon yellow shirts with the Lincoln Hancock logo with volunteer in the back. And we are handing those volunteer shirts out to anyone who's interested.
We're happy
Okay.
happy to put you to work. And it's also, I should mention, Joe, it's a great opportunity for any students who need volunteer hours, because we will happily give out volunteer hours, and it's a fun day.
It's a fun day. It sure is. Bring your sunscreen, because last year was a hot one. It was a hot one. So we will definitely be bringing extra tents and coverage for shade this year.
Yeah, and I guess I should ask, is there a contingency plan in case there's inclement weather?
There will not be inclement weather. It's not going to.
It's not happening. We're
not
not.
happening. But in theory, it's rain or shine. So as long as the rain doesn't logistically prevent us from having it, we'll be there.
Okay. Well, I mean, you have a dunk tank, so
And why not? Absolutely. Halfway there.
Right. If it rains, we won't need to fill it.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll work out well for you. When does the board meet? Do you have regular meetings of the board of the PTC? You do.
We do. We meet the first Monday of every month during the school year.
Could you say that just again?
Sure. No, sure. The first Monday of every month, we meet at 6:30 And we either meet at the school. We try to do a variety of ways. We meet at the school for a couple of times a year, and then we also do Zoom meetings, virtual meetings as well. So if you're, a working parent or you get held up, there are a variety of ways for you to make the meetings and get involved. And then we also send out the minutes via the school. They distribute those for us after the meeting. So if you're ever interested, you can take a look at the minutes. And then we take a little break over the summer, and then we will pick it right back up in the fall.
Right back up.
Okay. And are you on social media at all?
We are.
Sure are.
We absolutely are.
We have a very functioning Facebook page where we have a fabulous social media board member, Alicia, who she had mentioned earlier, and she is constantly posting about all the different holidays, posting about all the different events, not even Lincoln Hancock specific things, but also Quincy community things that we think could help, parents or students within the school. So really all different things, from activities to even like any sort of free lunch program that might be around, just anything that would really be beneficial to our community.
Yep.
Sure.
And if you search Facebook for us, Lincoln Hancock PTC, you'll find us.
Okay, great. Anything else we should let folks know about right now?
Our online store.
Yes. Also, that's a great point. While you are on the Facebook PTC site, don't miss the post about our online store where you can purchase any of our spirit wear for yourself, for family members, for kids in the community, anything that you might want to wear that's Lincoln Hancock themed. You can find it there as well on the Facebook site. There's a link there. And we're really excited for this event. Last year, I think we probably had, maybe 500 to 600 folks show up. So we're looking
to double that.
Yeah, we're looking for everyone to come on down and really just enjoy themselves and enjoy the day.
Okay, well, again, it sounds like a lot of fun. It's Touch a Truck, Saturday, June 17th, 11 to 3 at the Lincoln Hancock School, raising funds for the Lincoln Hancock Parent Teacher Committee. It's been a lot of fun talking to you both. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful event.
We can't thank you enough.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
You're very, very welcome. Let us know how it goes, would you?
We sure will.
Absolutely.